Welcome to Copenhagen Kastrup International Airport, here in the city and suburb that it is named after. In just a few hours' time, I will be flying with Finnair on one of their daily A320 flights, bound for Helsinki.
Let's go. Here we go now. Batman scoop on the mic, mixing the mix on the wheels of steel. This is what I was fucking born to do. Let's go.
When I left Australia, I knew that from the moment I got off my previous flight here in Copenhagen, my body clock would be completely off. However, what I didn't realise is actually how far off it would be. I went to bed at 8 PM the previous night, and yet I woke up multiple times as my body was telling me that it was the early afternoon, which it was back in Sydney. Copenhagen Kastrup International Airport is the primary international airport serving the capital city it's named after and the majority of Denmark. Interestingly, the airport serves the Öresund region, which includes a small portion of southern Sweden. This seems to be commonplace in Europe, particularly in the EU countries, but it's not something that you're likely to see anywhere else in the world. Finnair, like most other Schengen Zone airlines, operates out of Terminal 2 here at Copenhagen. Their check-in counters can be found sandwiched between the British Airways check-in counters. Ironic, considering where my final destination would be today. Check-in this morning was very quick and easy. However, the same cannot be said for the passenger before me, who was stranded due to a last-minute flight to the US being cancelled. After my bag had been sent on its way to the UK, I quickly turned around and made my way upstairs to the security checkpoint. If you have never been to the EU before, you might be unfamiliar with the concept of this Schengen zone. To put it simply, the European Union, or EU, has removed border control and passport checks, meaning all international flights between all European Union nations are operated as if they are domestic flights. This allows for free movement between 27 countries without the need of a passport. However, because I am Australian and my final destination is London, which is not part of the European Union, I am required to carry a passport. Security today was very slow. It took me nearly 20 minutes to pass through airside. I quickly realized that the reason why it was so slow was that only 3 X-ray machines were working. Rather disappointing, honestly, but I've had longer wait times, so I couldn't complain too much. Post-security is the usual duty-free shopping area with high-end luxury goods such as perfumes, watches, chocolate and alcohol. Excluding in London and Frankfurt, this was the only time I truly had a look through the duty-free section, as I was curious what was different here compared to back home. With a large caffeine hit in my hand and today's aircraft on approach, I quickly made my way to the gate to see its arrival. However, no visit to Denmark is complete without a quick stop at a Lego store, which, if you didn't know, is actually where Lego originates from, first selling wooden toys in the 1930s. Copenhagen Airport is spread out like a sideways letter E, with multiple piers stretching out. Along each pier is pretty much nothing but gates, and maybe the occasional cafe or a self-service 7-Eleven station. But before the gates is a massive shopping centre with cafes, bars, restaurants, lounges, stores, and more. After arriving at the gate, so did that of today's aircraft, which today is an Airbus A320-200 registered as Oscar Hotel Lima X-Ray Alpha. Construction of this airframe was completed at Airbus's final assembly line in Hamburg, Germany in January of 2001. She was then sent to Finnair in her much older livery later the following month, making this aircraft 24 years old. Boarding shortly followed after I had arrived at Gate Alpha 8, starting of course firstly with business class and then followed by economy passengers.
1, 2. One,
Finnair's Airbus A320s all have the exact same layout, with 174 seats in a 3-3 configuration. The aircraft has a dynamic business class cabin, meaning there aren't necessarily the same number of business class seats on each flight. This morning, I shall be seated in 21 Foxtrot on the starboard side or right-hand side of the aircraft. Finnair has opted for the Recaro 3510 cloth upholstered seat for their economy class, which features 31 inches or 79 centimeters of pitch and 17.7 inches or 45 centimeters of width. There is a standard tray table that folds down and extends towards you. In the seat back pocket, you'll find a safety card, buy onboard menu, and an air sickness bag. Above are individual reading lights, air vents, and 2 flight attendant call buttons. In front, you'll also find a small coat hook, which was never really used by anyone. Soon we commenced our pushback from gate Alpha 8, right on time.
Cabin crew, take your door positions.
1, 2,
Cabin crew, arm the doors and first check.
Handheld electronic devices during the flight, but we ask you to ensure that they are now set to flight mode. All other electronic devices. We have 8 emergency exits on this Airbus 320. They are all marked with exit signs. Fasten the front buckle and tighten the strap. After you leave the aircraft, inflate the life jacket by pulling the red tab. Make sure that you are
We taxied to runway 04 right via Kilo 3, runway 12, Charlie, Bravo, and Bravo 3. Now please enjoy this unedited takeoff. After takeoff, we made our ascent through the awful precipitation whilst making a right-hand turn to set up an easterly course for Helsinki. Flight time today is 1 hour and 13 minutes, covering a distance of 556 miles or 894 kilometers, cruising at 39,000 feet. Due to the weather surrounding the Baltic Sea, there wasn't much to be seen, especially during the climb. However, up at altitude you could see the tops of the clouds, which was quite pretty. Finnair offers Wi-Fi on board the majority of their flights, which is powered by the Nordic Sky Portal. I found that the Wi-Fi was fairly alright, however, I wasn't able to maintain a solid connection on the internet. However, texting worked perfectly. Finnair does not offer complimentary food on board their flights. However, they do offer a vast selection of different items to indulge in. Please pause the video at any time to review the menu items in more detail. In saying this, Finnair does offer complimentary drinks on board, and I had to go with their signature blueberry juice, which was absolutely fantastic, and I ended up going for seconds. As a part of my ticket, which was sold on Qantas.com, I was given a goodie bag filled with a few food items, including a small pot of strawberry yogurt and muesli, a green apple, and a rye bread sandwich with eggs and ham. Midway through the cruise, I managed to glimpse the only piece of land visible today, which was Kalmar in southern Sweden. On board the aircraft are 3 bathrooms, 1 at the front for business and 2 at the rear for economy. Inside the economy class bathroom has everything you would typically come to expect for this aircraft type, except for a baby changing station, which is not present. Soon we commenced our descent into Helsinki. During today's descent, I decided to listen to some classical music, and not just any, but that of the Sibelius Violin Concerto. This very famous piece for solo violin and orchestra was written by the famous Finnish composer Jean Sibelius, which I saw very fit to listen to today. As the weather in Helsinki was decent enough that you could actually see below the clouds, the descent today was rather special, as not only did we fly directly over the city, giving me an absolutely fantastic view of the CBD and suburbs, but, at least in my opinion more interestingly, was the many different islands and fjords scattered to the south. This was also whilst the sunlight penetrated through the clouds, casting a sort of godly-like glow on the ground below. Now please enjoy this unedited landing. After landing, we taxied back to the terminal via Whiskey Golf, Whiskey, Oscar and Papa Oscar. We pulled into gate 25, 1 minute ahead of our scheduled arrival time. As I stepped off the aircraft, I thanked the crew in my rubbish attempt at Finnish before turning my attention away from Finnair for the moment and towards making my way to the Aviation Museum in the Aviopolis. So, I just flew with Finnair on one of their A320s between Denmark and Helsinki. What are my thoughts? Well, as always, let's start from the beginning. Check-in at Copenhagen was very quick and easy, taking only a matter of minutes to complete. Frankly, I had no issues with it. Security, on the other hand, was very slow. Now, granted, this wasn't the ground staff's fault, as the X-ray machines were either broken or not in use, but it is surprising to me that no other security checkpoint was made available. At least this would have reduced the wait times. On board, the seat was really comfy. It had more than enough padding, and I really do appreciate the cloth upholstery, certainly one of the best A320 seats I've sat in. The food was also very good, and had a good combination of flavours. I think outside of Iceland Air, Finnair has some of the tastiest food on board. And finally, the crew were fantastic. They were chatty yet very professional, and they even taught me a few Finnish words, which I attempted to speak upon leaving the aircraft, but like I said, I totally butchered it. So, would I recommend you to fly on Finnair? Absolutely! The price was reasonable, and they were very friendly. All in all, a great airline, and one I would definitely fly with again. Hopefully in their business class non-reclining seat. Maybe one day, we'll see how we go. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you check out my other videos if you want to see more. And I have said this before, but I now have a Discord server. Feel free to join. The link can be found at the top of the description. And as always, feel free to press the notification button too, as it will let you know whenever I upload, which happens every Friday at 8 PM Sydney time. And I hope to see you all again in the next one. Nahandon Pian!